Hi guys, it's Vin with Boris Effects, and in this quick tutorial I'm going to show you how to add motion tracked particle effects in Vegas Pro with Particle Illusion. Okay, so here we are in Vegas Pro, and I have a clip of my drag racer here. And what I want to do is add some flames to the exhaust port. To do this, I'm going to begin by dragging Particle Illusion onto my clip. Now we're going to select our emitter in just a bit, but the first thing I want to do is motion track the scene. This way, our emitter is going to stay locked in place. Now, as you can see when I scrub through, I have some pretty significant perspective changes going on here. Not to worry though, as the built-in Mocha motion tracking is going to make quick work of this. Now to enable tracking, I'm going to select my transforms parameter. Now I have three options here: world, emitter, and world and emitter. In the most basic sense, world tracking will tell Mocha to track the emitter's position relative to the camera movement. If the car was just sitting there and the camera moved around it, we'd want to track just the world. Emitter tracking is the opposite. Mocha will track the movement of the emitter. For example, if the camera remains locked in place and the car drove out of frame, that would be emitter tracking. In this case, since we have both camera movement and object movement, we're going to select world and emitter, and that's going to allow us to track both. With that enabled, I'm going to come down to Motion Tracker Mocha and launch the Mocha Motion Tracker. Now, inside of Mocha, I have a couple of trackers. The first is the World Tracker. Now, there are two objects here. The World Search Area, which is a circular spline here. This will track the movement of the pixels in the scene, while the World Offset will be the location of my camera. For now, I'm going to disable both the gear and the eye. This is going to prevent Mocha from including them in tracking and won't display them in the tracking window. Now, why did I do this? Primarily because our focus is going to be on the emitter tracker, seen here. While we will re-enable the world tracker before we're done, disabling it at this point will not only speed up our tracking, but also allow us to focus on our emitter tracker. In this instance, let's first move the CTI to a point where we can clearly see the exhaust port, and let's place both the emitter search area and offset over it. Don't worry too much about the exact placement of the offset, since I'm going to be able to adjust it later. Next, I'll hit track forward and let Mocha do its thing. When it gets to the end of the clip, I'm going to hit track backwards and let Mocha track the remainder of the clip. Now that we've tracked our scene, we want to re-enable our world search area. Rather than tracking this all over again, here's a little trick I use to speed things up. First, let's move the world search area and offset over the exhaust port like we did before. Then, rather than tracking, let's select the world tracker and link it to the emitter tracking. This is going to link up all of our tracking data, so now our camera motion will match our emitter, which is pretty cool. When done, let's apply that back to the host. Since we haven't applied our emitter yet, I'm going to enable Show Motion Path, which will show our tracking data. Remember to turn this off for your final render. But for now, this is a good way to visualize Mocha's tracking data, and it's going to give you a sense of where your emitter will be once we select it. Now, one of the reasons we want to do our motion tracking first is because when we launch Particle Illusion's user interface, any emitter that we apply to the stage will automatically inherit our tracking data. This is going to make it significantly easier to not only place our emitter, but also get a clear sense of what our effect is going to look like. Now I'm going to come to my search window and enter New Flames Trail 01. Now there are a ton of fire-based emitters available in Particle Illusion, especially if you install the free emitter bundle available on the Boris Effects website. But for this effect, this is going to give me the look that I want. Now I can add it to my stage right at the beginning, but what I want to actually do first is move my CTI forward a bit until the car jumps as the driver steps on the gas. If I place my emitter here, right over the exhaust port, it will start generating when the driver hits the gas. And as you can see here in my timeline, the emitter start point begins right there. I can always adjust this if I need to tweak it. Now if I play that back, it's looking pretty good. So you know what? I'm just going to apply that back to the host. Now you'll notice that I intentionally position the emitter slightly offset from the port. The reason is because I wanted to show you that we can make adjustments down here in the motion tracker settings. I'm just going to go down to the emitter offset group, and by adjusting the X and Y parameters, I can manually tweak that position. Next, let's head back to the World Transform category and adjust the rotation and master scale a bit. That looks pretty good. Some additional final adjustments can be made in the composite menu. By default, it's set at direct. But if I select Alpha Apply Mode, I can then choose from a number of composite modes such as Add, Multiply, Lighten, etc. I'm going to select Lighten and then go down to the Glow group. When I enable this, Particle Illusion will apply a glow to the whole image. Since I have Alpha Apply Mode enabled, I can choose whether or not I want to apply the glow to the whole image or just the particles. Let's select Particles and restrict the glow to just the flames. I can then adjust my intensity, radius, and threshold a bit, and you know what? Let's also change the color to make it a bit redder. When I play that back, there you go. My flames are motion tracked to my scene and the emitter is locked to the vehicle. Definitely experiment with different emitters and composite modes, but with Mocha Motion Tracker built right into Particle Illusion, that's all there is to it. I'm Vin Morreale with Boris Effects, and for more great tutorials, don't forget to check out the Boris Effects website. Take care!